Hi, I'm Tom McCullough, and I hope you enjoyed the 1 Minute God series. And we're working on a new series now. It's basically just questions and answers, and it's going to be a lot more casual than 1 Minute God was. 1 Minute God was 6 months in the making. It's very, very structured. We had scripts and everything. So this is going to be a lot more casual, and people are going to write in their questions, and I'm going to be giving you maybe some information that I think is interesting, maybe not even important, but interesting in the Bible. And that's what we're going to be doing week to week. And as you might guess, these are not going to be 1 minute long. They're going to be, they could be anywhere from 30 seconds to, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes. They'll be as long as I think they need to be. You might have seen that we have a website now, www.oneminutegod.com. You can submit your questions there, or you can submit them at YouTube. Now, these videos are going to be about basic Christian theology, or whatever you think is interesting, whatever you have questions on, or something that I think is interesting and I can share with you. Now, our first question is really involved, and I don't have enough time to get into that this week, so I'm going to be sharing that next week. If you watch the video next week, it's going to be about our first question. And our first question was about more proofs that Jesus is God, Jesus is the Messiah, Jesus is who he said he was. And like I said, that's rather involved, so I didn't think it was fair to just throw that up there the first week. This week we're going to be talking about the 31 most important chapters in the Bible. Now that's most important according to Tom McCullough. Other people have different views. I shared this with some of my friends, and they thought that I left out a chapter here or a chapter there that should be included, but there's general agreement that these are the 31 most important chapters in the Bible. And the reason why I picked 31 is because I tried to whittle it down to 30, and I just couldn't cut that last chapter out. So these are the 31 chapters that I think are the most important, and they are in order of importance. Now, if you're a new Christian, most people tell you to read the Gospel of John, and I would tell you the same thing. But if you'd like to jump around a little bit, or you've read the Gospel of John and you'd like a little bit more information, I would highly suggest these 31 chapters. Now, for purposes of time, I'm only going to be discussing the top 10 chapters, and if you want all 31 chapters, they're listed right down here in the notes. But let's start with the most important chapter in the Bible. That would be John chapter 3. John chapter 3 says that you must be born again and that you can't get into heaven unless you're born again. So that sounds pretty important to me. The second chapter is Ephesians chapter 2. That has the bad news and then it has the good news. And it says that we're saved by grace. Now, grace is a gift from God. Romans chapter 3 is about justification by faith. That means faith makes you right. It makes you perfect. It makes it so that God sees you as if you are perfect. We discussed that a little bit in the first 14 videos. 1 Corinthians chapter 13 is called the love chapter. You hear that at most weddings. You're probably familiar with love is patient, love is kind, and the love that they're talking about that you won't see in your Bible, but the love that we're talking about is agape love. Psalm 23 you're probably also familiar with. That's the Lord is my shepherd. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And that's really important for a lot of reasons, and it should give you comfort that even if you don't know what you're doing, God does, and God is there to take care of you. John chapter 1, that's the Gospel of John chapter 1, declares that Jesus is God. 1 Corinthians chapter 6 is the bad news. 1 Timothy chapter 3 outlines the requirements to be a leader in the church. Isaiah chapter 53 is one of the most amazing chapters in the Bible. I know the first time that I read it, I was absolutely shocked that 700 years before Jesus is born, Isaiah is telling us what the Messiah is going to be like. And as you read it, it looks like it should be in the New Testament, not the Old Testament. Exodus chapter 20 are the 10 Commandments, and those are the basic commandments of God that still serve us to this day. Ephesians chapter 6 is a very interesting chapter. The second half of that chapter tells you about spiritual warfare, that a lot of times you think that it's you against somebody else, and it makes it pretty clear that there's a lot of spiritual warfare going on, that there's angels helping you, that there's demonic angels or fallen angels, whatever you want to call them, that are fighting against you, and it helps you to put on the full armor of God so that you're able to fight. Like I said, the rest of the chapters are listed in the notes below, and I hope to see you next week. Goodbye and God bless you.